The planet Lumina 9 shimmered under the light of its three suns. Towering crystal spires rose from the ground, reflecting colors that no human eyes had ever seen before. Among those spires, the palace of the Luminara Empire gleamed like a jewel. Humans had rarely visited this planet, but now Lieutenant Aaron Vale found himself walking through the gates of a world that seemed more like a dream than reality. Aaron's boots clicked on the smooth stone floors as he followed the grand corridors. The walls were alive with colors that changed slowly as if breathing. Strange plants grew along the edges, glowing softly, and delicate birds with transparent wings floated past the tall windows. Aaron had seen advanced technology in his life, but this palace was beyond anything he had imagined. He had been assigned to a diplomatic mission to observe and learn about Luminara culture, technology, and society. The humans and Luminaras were not yet allies, but the elders on both sides had agreed that friendship and cooperation might one day benefit both civilizations. Aaron was excited, but also nervous. He had trained for this moment for years, yet nothing could fully prepare him for walking into a living palace of alien royalty. "Stay professional," he muttered under his breath as he walked along the hallway. "Observe. Learn. Don't embarrass yourself." Aaron reached a large intersection. In the palace, where multiple corridors spread out like the branches of a tree, a golden sign hovered in the air, showing directions in the Luminara language. Aaron didn't understand the words, but the symbols gave him a general idea. He turned left, remembering the instructions of his guide. The left corridor was quieter, almost serene. The air hummed softly, a sound like wind passing through glass. He stopped briefly to admire the wall carvings, which seemed to move subtly when viewed from different angles. Every step he took made him feel smaller, like a tiny part of a giant story he did not yet understand. As he turned another corner, he saw a door slightly ajar. Curiosity flickered inside him, despite the voice in his mind warning him to stay cautious. Aaron gently pushed the door open, thinking he would just peek and make sure everything was secure. Inside, the room was unlike anything he had seen. It looked like a combination of a laboratory and an art studio. Strange instruments lined the walls, glowing with soft blue and green lights. Scrolls of alien writing floated in midair, and tiny robots hovered silently, observing their surroundings. But what caught Aaron's attention the most was the figure standing near the center of the room. The figure spun around in surprise, and Aaron froze. Before him stood Princess Liara, the young heir of the Luminara Empire. Her eyes were wide, and her hands moved to cover a small glowing device on the table. The device seemed to be made of human-like components, but it pulsed with energy that Aaron could not identify. I didn't expect anyone here," Liara stammered, her voice melodic, and calm but clearly startled. Aaron immediately realized he had walked into a private space, and his face heated with embarrassment. I'm sorry, Your Highness, I didn't know anyone was here," he said quickly, bowing slightly as a sign of respect. Liara's eyes softened. Instead of anger, they held curiosity and amusement. "It's unusual for humans to appear without an invitation," she said, a small smile forming on her lips. "But I can see that you are not here to cause trouble." Aaron relaxed slightly but remained cautious. "I was just exploring the palace. I didn't mean to intrude." Liara nodded, walking closer to Aaron. She gestured at the device she had been working on. "I suppose this is why. I was, experimenting." Aaron's curiosity grew. "Experimenting? With what?" Liara hesitated for a moment. Then, in a lower voice, she said, "It is a human device I recovered from old human records. I've been trying to understand it and improve it." Aaron's eyes widened. Humans and Luminaras had not shared technology openly in decades. Yet here was the princess, secretly working on human-inspired technology. His mind raced with possibilities. "Princess? You've been studying this alone?" he asked, trying to hide his amazement. "Yes," Liara admitted. "It is not allowed for anyone to mix human technology with Luminara devices. They say it is dangerous, but I believe humans think differently in ways we can learn from. Arin felt a surge of respect for her bravery. Most humans would not dare experiment in secret, and most Luminaras certainly would not. Here was a princess, risking authority and tradition simply to learn and explore. I think that's incredible, he said honestly. Your Highness, you might be able to do something that no one has imagined before. Liara's eyes sparkled with excitement. You really think so? Arin nodded. Absolutely. I've seen human ingenuity do incredible things, and I believe humans and Luminaras could learn a lot from each other. The tension in the room faded, replaced by a shared sense of curiosity. Liara moved the device closer to Arin and allowed him to examine it. It was small, no bigger than a human wrist, but its energy flowed in patterns that seemed almost alive. It reacts to thought patterns, Liara explained. I have been trying to make it respond to human ideas, but I cannot do it alone. Arin's heart raced. He had studied alien technology, but this device was beyond anything in the human database. Maybe we can work together, he suggested cautiously. I can help you understand how humans think, and you can show me how it works. With Luminara energy, Liara tilted her head, considering his offer. Then she smiled. Very well, Lieutenant, but you must promise to be careful. This work is sensitive. I promise, Arin said, feeling both excitement and responsibility. For the next hour, they worked together, sharing ideas and testing small experiments. Liara's hands moved gracefully over the device, while Arin offered suggestions on its design and function. They laughed at small mistakes and cheered at tiny successes. Despite the palace's grandeur and the weight of royalty, the room felt warm and human. As the suns began to set outside, casting long shadows across the palace, Arin realized how unusual this moment was. He had expected diplomacy and observation, but instead, he had found a connection with an alien mind full of curiosity and courage. Liara looked at him thoughtfully. You know, humans are different from what I expected. You do not fear the unknown as much as we do. You embrace it. Arin smiled. Maybe that's why humans keep exploring. We're curious by nature, and sometimes curiosity leads to surprises. Liara chuckled softly. Yes, like this surprise. She gestured at the device, glowing faintly. I could not hide it from you, could I? No, Arin admitted. And I'm glad I saw it. I've learned more in this hour than I could have in weeks of observation. The moment felt suspended in time. Outside, the palace continued to hum with the soft life of Lumina 9, but inside, two minds, human and alien, had begun a partnership that might change the course of history. As Arin finally prepared to leave the room, Liara looked at him seriously. We must be careful. If anyone discovers this collaboration, it could cause problems. I understand, Arin said, but I think it's worth the risk. Together, we could create something extraordinary. Liara's eyes shone with determination. Then we shall try, Lieutenant. And who knows? Perhaps one day, humans and Luminaras will not just coexist, but thrive together. Arin nodded, feeling a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He stepped out of the chamber, closing the door gently behind him. For the first time in his career, he realized that diplomacy was not just about rules and observation. It was about courage, curiosity, and connection. And as he walked back into the palace corridors, Arin could not help but smile. The day had started as a routine inspection, but it had turned into the beginning of an adventure unlike any other. An adventure that would test intelligence, bravery, and the power of human spirit among the stars. The following morning, the palace of Lumina 9 glowed with the soft light of the three suns. Lieutenant Arin Vale awoke in his assigned quarters, a mixture of excitement and nervousness buzzing in his mind. Yesterday's accidental encounter with Princess Liara had changed everything. What had begun as a routine mission was now a secret collaboration between human and alien intellect. Aaron dressed quickly and made his way to the princess's private chamber. The corridors were quiet in the early hours, and he noticed Palace, attendants moving silently, their forms shimmering faintly under the sunlight. He wondered how many of them suspected something unusual, but the thought made him smile. Curiosity, he realized, was often stronger than suspicion. As he reached Liara's chamber, the door opened before he could knock. The princess stood there, holding a small container filled with glowing liquid. Her expression was calm, but alert, the same mixture of intelligence and determination that had captivated him yesterday. "Good morning, Lieutenant," she greeted, her voice carrying a musical tone. "I have prepared something that may help our experiments today." Aaron stepped inside, careful not to disturb the delicate instruments around the room. "Good morning, Your Highness. I am ready to learn." Liara smiled faintly. "Today we will combine your knowledge of human thought patterns with the Luminara energy circuits I have been designing. It will be challenging, but I believe it can work." Aaron nodded. "I think we can do it. Humans have always solved problems by trying new ideas even when they seem impossible." Liara's eyes brightened. "Then we shall begin." The princess led him to a large table where the human-inspired device rested. Its small core pulsed gently, responding to the energy flowing in the room. Liara placed the glowing liquid near it. "This is a stabilizer," she explained. "It helps the device process both human and Luminara energy." Aaron leaned closer, studying the patterns of light dancing across the device. "It's amazing how it reacts. Almost alive," he whispered. Liara nodded. "That is why it is important to control it carefully. The wrong input could cause unpredictable results." Together, they began the work. Aaron described the ways humans think, the steps of problem-solving, and the methods of innovation that had allowed humanity to survive and thrive in harsh environments. Liara listened carefully, absorbing every word. Then she applied those ideas to her energy circuits, adjusting, recalibrating, and experimenting. Hours passed and small sparks of success began to appear. The device responded to human thought patterns with remarkable precision. Liara clapped softly and Aaron grinned. "We did it," he said, his voice full of pride. "Not entirely," Liara corrected gently. "We have succeeded in a small test, but the real challenge is integration. The device must function in real situations, not just controlled experiments." Aaron nodded, understanding the seriousness. "Then let's test it further, carefully." They moved on to more complex experiments. Aaron proposed scenarios humans might face, such as resource shortages, unexpected environmental changes, and communication problems with other species. Liara translated these scenarios into energy simulations within the device. Each test was harder than the last, yet the device adapted, responding with solutions neither human nor Luminara alone could have imagined. As the day progressed, Aaron and Liara began to talk more freely. He asked her about life in the Luminara Empire, her responsibilities and her hopes for the future. She listened as he spoke of Earth, of the challenges humans had faced, and of their determination to explore the stars. "You humans are very determined," she said thoughtfully. "Even when you face danger or uncertainty, you do not give up." Aaron smiled. "We have to be determined. The universe is vast and unpredictable. Curiosity and courage are what drive us forward." Liara nodded, her eyes distant for a moment. "I wish more of my people understood this. Many are afraid of change. They prefer tradition over innovation." "Sometimes," Aaron said gently, "change is necessary, but it takes bravery to embrace it. You are brave, Princess Liara. That is why you are here experimenting even when others would forbid it." Liara's lips curved into a soft smile. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I am simply curious like you. Curiosity can be dangerous, but it can also be wonderful." Their conversation was interrupted by a subtle alarm, a soft hum vibrating through the room. The device flickered, and Aaron instinctively stepped forward. Liara's hands moved swiftly, adjusting the stabilizer. "It is. Responding to something unusual," she said, her brow furrowed. "Perhaps interference from palace systems." Aaron observed the device closely. "It's like it senses the environment and adapts. That's incredible." "Yes," Liara said, relief in her voice. "We must record this. Such behavior could be important for future applications." They spent the next hour carefully noting every detail, testing the device in multiple ways, and making small adjustments. With each success, their confidence grew. Aaron felt a deep admiration for Liara, not only for her intelligence but for her willingness to risk authority for discovery. By mid-afternoon, a sense of calm settled over the room. Aaron looked around at the glowing instruments and floating scrolls. "This is incredible," he said. "We're creating something that could change the future." Liara nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, but we must be cautious. Not everyone will understand our work. Some may see it as a threat." Aaron frowned. "Do you think anyone will try to stop us?" "It is possible," she admitted. "There are those in the Empire who fear innovation. They believe tradition protects us. But sometimes tradition can also limit us." Aaron placed a reassuring hand on the table. "Then we will work carefully and we will succeed. Together." Liara smiled, a mixture of gratitude and determination. "Together," she repeated. As the suns began to lower, casting long, colorful shadows across the palace floor, they prepared for the final test of the day. Aaron suggested a scenario based on Earth's exploration of space. The device must adapt to an environment with scarce energy, fluctuating resources, and unpredictable signals. Liara input the parameters into her energy circuits. The device glowed, brightly, then dimmed, then pulsed rhythmically. Slowly, it began to stabilize energy flows, creating a small but functional system that could survive under extreme conditions. Aaron's eyes widened. It worked. It actually worked. Liara's hands hovered over the controls, adjusting fine details. "Yes, this is the first time the device has fully responded to human thought patterns under realistic conditions." They laughed softly, sharing the joy of their achievement. It was a small victory, but it symbolized much more: the potential for humans and Luminaras to collaborate in ways that neither could achieve alone. As the day ended, Liara walked Aaron to the door. "You have done well today," she said sincerely. "I had my doubts, but your perspective, it is valuable. I have much to learn from you, Lieutenant Aaron." "And I from you, Princess," Aaron replied. "This has been one of the most inspiring experiences of my life." Liara paused, her expression thoughtful. "We must continue this work in secret. Others may not understand, but I believe it is worth the risk. Perhaps one day humans and Luminaras will see the benefits clearly." Aaron nodded. "I agree. And I will help protect our work, I promise." Liara smiled softly. "Then we begin tomorrow. There is much more to explore." As Aaron returned to his quarters, his mind raced with possibilities. He had entered the palace as a visitor, a diplomat, and an observer. But now he felt part of something greater, a secret mission of discovery, innovation, and trust. The accidental encounter with Princess Liara had led to a partnership that might change the course of history. Outside, the palace glimmered under the fading suns, and for the first time, Aaron felt the true wonder of exploration. The universe was vast, full of surprises, and humanity's spirit, curious, brave, and persistent, was ready to meet it. And somewhere deep in the palace, Liara gazed at the device they had worked on, her thoughts filled with possibilities. The spark of collaboration between human and Luminara had been lit, and neither time nor distance could dim it. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps new dangers. But for tonight, both human and princess could rest, with the knowledge that curiosity, courage, and friendship had already begun to change the universe. The next morning, the palace of Lumina 9 was alive with activity. Courtiers moved gracefully along the halls, attendants floated silently above the polished floors, and the air buzzed softly with the hum of Luminara technology. Lieutenant Aaron, Vale walked carefully through the corridors, carrying his notebook filled with observations from the previous day. He was headed to Princess Liara's private chamber, eager to continue their secret work. Yet a feeling of unease lingered in his mind. The empire was vast and not everyone would welcome human involvement in their technology. He could not shake the thought that someone, somewhere might be watching. As he approached the chamber, Liara stepped out, her expression serious. "Good morning, Lieutenant," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I am glad you are here. We have a situation to address." Aaron's brow furrowed. "Situation?" Liara led him to the table where their device rested. "Yes. Overnight, I detected unusual energy fluctuations around the palace. I believe someone may have noticed our work." Aaron's heart raced. "You mean a spy?" Liara nodded. "Perhaps, or someone curious. Either way, we must proceed carefully. Today, we can not only work on the device, we must also protect it." Aaron took a deep breath. "I understand. We'll do whatever it takes." Liara smiled faintly. "Good. Let us begin with a test of resilience." She adjusted the device's circuits, programming it to respond to multiple types of interference. "We will see how it reacts under stress." Aaron studied the glowing device, fascinated. "So, we are not just experimenting with energy, we are also testing its ability to survive attacks or sabotage." "Exactly," Liara replied. "If we are to protect our work, the device must be strong and adaptable." For hours, they ran simulations. The device responded to shifting energy patterns, unexpected surges, and simulated sabotage attempts. Each time it adapted in new ways, demonstrating the combined potential of human ideas and Luminara technology. Aaron felt pride in their work, but he could not ignore the nagging worry about outside interference. Around mid-afternoon, a soft alarm sounded throughout the chamber. Liara's eyes widened as she activated a holographic screen. "Energy signatures," she said quickly. "They are moving through the palace corridors. Someone is coming toward us." Aaron stepped back instinctively. "Should we hide the device?" Liara shook her head. "No, we cannot risk damage. We must protect it actively." She tapped a series of commands, and the device expanded a protective energy field around itself. The glowing light shimmered, forming a translucent shield that pulsed rhythmically. Aaron's pulse quickened as he saw two figures enter the corridor outside. They were humanoid, but their movements were precise and deliberate, as if they were trained for infiltration. "Rival agents," Liara whispered. Aaron glanced at her. "What do we do?" Liara's expression hardened. "We adapt. Follow my lead." As the agents approached the door, Liara activated the device's defensive response. A burst of energy formed a temporary barrier in the corridor, slowing the intruders. The agents paused, scanning the area, their expressions unreadable. Aaron and Liara moved quickly. "We need to guide them away," she said, leading him to a side passage. "The palace is large. We can use its design to our advantage." Together they navigated the hidden corridors, the hum of the palace masking their movements. Aaron marveled at the architecture, the way the halls curved and twisted, almost like a living organism. Every turn was a potential trap or escape route, and Liara moved confidently, as if she had known these paths her entire life. They reached a small chamber overlooking the palace gardens. Liara activated a window that displayed the intruders' movements. "They are persistent," she observed. "But they do not know the palace as we do. We can use that." Aaron studied the device. "Can it stop them?" Liara nodded. "Not harm them, but it can create obstacles and confusion, enough to delay their approach. That is all we need." Over the next hour, Aaron and Liara worked, in tandem. Aaron suggested ways to confuse the intruders based on human logic and tactics, while Liara implemented the ideas using Luminara energy patterns. The device pulsed and shimmered, creating light barriers, shifting corridors, and gentle, energy waves that redirected the agents. Slowly, the intruders' movements became erratic. They paused, retraced steps, and finally retreated into the outer corridors of the palace. Liara exhaled, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "They will return," she said. "But now we know their methods." Arin's mind raced. "So this is only the beginning. We must prepare for more attempts." Liara nodded. "Yes, and we must strengthen the device further. But do not fear, Lieutenant. We are capable." The rest of the afternoon was spent reinforcing the device. Arin suggested modifications inspired by human defensive systems, while Liara fine-tuned the energy circuits to respond automatically. Together, they created a prototype that could think, adapt, and protect itself in a way that neither humans nor Luminaris had achieved before. As evening approached, Liara allowed herself a small smile. "You humans are clever. Your ideas have improved this device beyond what I thought possible." Arin grinned. "And your knowledge of energy and technology is incredible. I never imagined humans and Luminaris could create something like this together." Liara's eyes softened. "Perhaps it is not just the device. Perhaps it is the combination of our minds, working toward a common goal." Arin nodded. "Yes, collaboration. That is the key. And maybe trust." Their moment was interrupted by a soft chime, a palace attendant appearing to announce dinner. Liara waved them away. "We have work to do, but we must rest soon. Even the mind needs balance." Arin glanced at the glowing device, now stable and responsive. "I never thought a routine mission could turn into this. It's more than I expected." Liara laughed softly. "Life is full of surprises, Lieutenant. Sometimes the most important discoveries come from moments of chance or curiosity." Arin's thoughts drifted back to the first day he had accidentally walked into her private chamber. That simple mistake had led to this secret partnership, this adventure of creativity and courage. He realized that curiosity, the willingness to explore and adapt, was as powerful as any weapon or technology. That night, as the palace quieted under the light of Lumina 9's three suns, Arin returned to his quarters. He thought about the rival, agents, the device, and the princess's determination. He knew the challenges were only beginning, but he felt confident. Together, they could face any obstacle. Liara, alone in her chamber, watched the device pulse gently. Her mind was racing with ideas, improvements, and strategies. She knew the palace and the empire would not all welcome human involvement. But she also knew that curiosity, intelligence, and courage could change hearts and minds. As the sun set, casting long, shimmering shadows across the palace, the first real test of their partnership had been passed. The intruders had come and gone, but the bond between human and princess had grown stronger. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps even direct confrontation with those who opposed innovation. Yet for tonight, both felt a sense of accomplishment. They had not only survived a test, they had demonstrated the power of cooperation, creativity, and adaptability. Arin reflected quietly before sleep. He realized that his role was no longer just that of a visitor or observer. He had become a part of a journey, one that required bravery, intelligence, and a willingness to trust the unknown. And with Princess Liara by his side, he knew that human ingenuity could inspire even the most advanced civilizations. Liara, gazing at the glowing device, thought the same. The future was uncertain, full of risks and surprises. Yet she felt a spark of hope. If humans and Luminaras could work together, if curiosity and courage could guide them, perhaps a brighter, more united universe was possible. And in the quiet of the palace, a small pulse of energy radiated from the device, a reminder that even in the face of danger, knowledge and cooperation could shine brightly, lighting the path toward discovery, innovation, and understanding. The morning light of Lumina 9 streamed through the crystal windows of the palace, casting a rainbow of colors across the floors. Lieutenant Aaron Vale moved quietly through the corridors, notebook in hand. The events of the previous day weighed on him. The rival agents had come and gone, testing both the palace and the device he and Princess Liara had been working on. Liara met him at the entrance to her chamber, her expression serious. "Lieutenant," she said, "we have received new information. The intruders were not acting randomly. There is a larger plan behind their attack." Aaron's brow furrowed. "A plan? What kind of plan?" Liara led him to a holographic table in the center of her chamber. She activated it, and a glowing map of the Luminara Empire appeared. Points of light flickered across the map, showing movement patterns of various ships and agents. "These agents," she explained, "belong to a faction that opposes innovation. They believe any mixing of human and Luminara technology is dangerous. They see our work as a threat to their control." Aaron studied the map carefully. "So they are not just trying to stop the device, they want to prevent humans and Luminaras from working together?" Liara nodded. "Exactly. They fear change. But we cannot let fear dictate our future. We must continue carefully and protect what we have built." Aaron's heart raced. "What should we do first?" Liara pointed to a distant star system on the hologram. "This is where the faction's main base is located. I believe they are planning a major attack on the palace to seize the device. If that happens, everything we've worked for could be lost." Aaron swallowed hard. "Then we need a plan, a defense, and maybe a way to show them that cooperation can be better than conflict." Liara's eyes sparkled. "That is why I wanted to tell you first. We will need both strategy and creativity. Your human perspective may be the key to success." They spent the next hours preparing. Liara explained the layout of the palace's secret passages, hidden rooms, and energy defenses. Aaron suggested ways to outsmart intruders using unpredictability, based on tactics humans had used in exploration and defense. Together, they created a strategy that combined human logic and Luminara energy systems. By late afternoon, the preparations were complete. The palace hummed with quiet energy, the device, at the center, ready to respond to any threat. Aaron and Liara moved to a hidden observation deck, overlooking the approach routes. As the suns began to set, shadows stretched across the palace gardens. A fleet of ships appeared on the horizon, glinting in the light. Aaron's pulse quickened. "They're coming." Liara's voice was steady. "Yes. But we are ready. Remember, Lieutenant, the goal is to defend, not to harm unnecessarily. We must show intelligence and adaptability, not aggression." The first ship landed near the palace gates, and agents began moving toward the structure. Aaron observed their patterns, noting their precision and coordination. "They are well trained," he said. Liara nodded. "Yes, but they lack imagination. That is where we have the advantage." Using the device, they activated a series of energy fields that shifted corridors, created illusions of walls, and gently redirected intruders away from the main chamber. The agents were confused, their formations breaking as they attempted to navigate the palace's strange layout. Aaron suggested small adjustments. "If we project energy along the floors in irregular patterns, it will guide them toward dead ends." Liara implemented the idea immediately. The glowing device pulsed, sending waves of light across the floors. The intruders hesitated, retracing their steps, becoming frustrated. Aaron smiled. Human creativity was working. Despite the chaos, one agent managed to reach the corridor leading to the chamber. Liara's eyes narrowed. "We cannot let them reach the device. It must survive." She tapped commands into the device, and a soft energy barrier formed, just enough to prevent access without harming the intruder. Aaron whispered, "It's working. They cannot get past it." Liara nodded, relief flickering across her face. "Yes, but we must prepare for more attempts. This is only the first wave." Hours passed as the intruders tested different approaches. Each time the device adapted, creating obstacles and redirecting them. Aaron and Liara observed every movement, adjusting their strategy, learning from each encounter. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. Finally, the intruders began to retreat. Their energy signals weakened and they returned to their ships. Liara let out a quiet sigh. They have not succeeded. Not today. Aaron felt a wave of relief. We did it. Together. Liara smiled. Yes, but this is only the beginning. They will learn from this failure and try again. We must be ready. Aaron nodded. Then we prepare. We improve, adapt, and stay ahead. Just like the device. Later that night, as the palace quieted, Liara and Aaron reviewed the events. They discussed the intruders' tactics, analyzing weaknesses and anticipating future strategies. The device still pulsing softly was central to their planning. You know, Aaron said thoughtfully, what we are doing here is bigger than just this device. It's about showing that humans and Luminaras can work together, even when others fear change. Liara nodded. Yes. It is about trust, collaboration, and courage. We are proving that cooperation is stronger than fear. Aaron smiled. And it all started with a small accident, me walking into your chamber. Liara laughed softly. Indeed. That small accident has grown into something extraordinary. The next morning the palace was calm, but Aaron and Liara remained vigilant. They continued refining the device, improving its adaptive abilities, and preparing for the possibility of a more organized attack. Liara turned to Aaron. I have been thinking, if the intruders continue, they may escalate to direct confrontation. We must be ready not just to defend, but also to reveal the potential of our collaboration. Perhaps then they will understand the value of working together rather than opposing change. Aaron considered this. So we show them what humans and Luminaras can achieve together, not through force, but through demonstration. Yes, Liara said, we must inspire as well as protect. Over the next days they continued their work, running simulations and strengthening the device. Each test brought new insights, each adjustment improved its resilience, and each success reinforced their belief in collaboration. Then one afternoon Liara paused and looked at Aaron seriously. There is something I must tell you. The device is not just a test of energy adaptation. It also has the potential to unlock knowledge from our ancient records, knowledge that could benefit both humans and Luminaras. Aaron's eyes widened. Ancient records? What kind of knowledge? Liara gestured to a glowing tablet. There are texts describing an early alliance between humans and Luminaras. Long ago, our species worked together to explore the stars. Much of that history has been forgotten, but the records remain. If we can unlock them, we could gain insight that no one has had for centuries. Aaron felt a surge of excitement. That could change everything. We could prevent mistakes, learn faster, and build something truly new. Liara nodded. Exactly. But this is why the rival faction fears our work. They do not want humans and Luminaras to unite. They want to keep both species isolated and limited. Aaron clenched his fists. Then we must continue. For knowledge, for progress, and for the future. Liara's eyes shone with determination. Yes, Lieutenant. Together, we can overcome fear, opposition, and uncertainty. We can create a future where humans and Luminaras thrive together. As the suns of Lumina 9 set, casting vibrant reflections across the palace, Aaron and Liara prepared for the next phase of their mission. The rival faction had shown its power, but it had also revealed its weaknesses. With courage, creativity, and collaboration, they were ready to face any challenge. For the first time, Aaron truly understood the meaning of partnership across worlds. He was not merely a visitor on Lumina 9. He was part of a journey that could redefine the future of two civilizations. Liara, standing beside him, felt the same. The risks were great, but the possibilities were greater. Together, They had faced the first wave of opposition, adapted and grown stronger, and tomorrow they would continue, ready to unlock the ancient knowledge and potential that could unite humans and Luminaras for generations to come. The night settled quietly over the palace, but within its walls, energy pulsed with life, hope, and determination. The battle was far from over, yet Aaron and Liara knew that with courage, trust, and innovation, they could face any challenge the universe placed before them. The three suns of Lumina 9 rose high in the sky, casting sparkling reflections across the palace's crystal spires. Lieutenant Aaron Vale stood beside Princess Liara in the main observatory, their eyes fixed on the horizon. Intelligence reports had confirmed that the rival faction was planning a final strike. This was the moment they had been preparing for, the ultimate test of courage, ingenuity, and trust. Liara's hands rested on the glowing device they had built together. "Lieutenant," she said, her voice steady, "everything we have worked for leads to today. We cannot fail." Aaron placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We won't fail, Princess. Together, we've overcome every challenge so far. We can do it again." Liara smiled faintly. "Yes, together." They activated the device, which began to pulse with energy more strongly than ever before. Liara had refined its adaptive circuits overnight, and Aaron had suggested ways to anticipate the intruder's strategies. The combination was remarkable. The device now not only defended itself, but also gathered information, analyzing patterns, and predicting the enemy's moves. As the first ships of the rival faction entered the atmosphere, Aaron observed their formation. They are organized and determined, but they are predictable. That is our advantage. Liara nodded. Yes, they rely on fear and aggression. We rely on intelligence and adaptability. The intruders approached the palace gates, confident and ready for confrontation. The device responded immediately, projecting illusions and energy barriers that disrupted their navigation. The corridors shifted, creating confusion, while the palace itself seemed to move as if alive. One of the enemy ships fired a small energy pulse, attempting to break through the barriers. Liara tapped commands, and the device absorbed the energy, converting it into a harmless light display. Aaron watched in awe. "It's incredible. It doesn't just defend, it adapts." "Yes," Liara replied, "and it can do more. Follow me." She led him through a hidden corridor, arriving at the central control chamber. From there, they could project signals across the palace, directing the energy fields and illusions with precision. Together, they coordinated the device's responses, guiding intruders into harmless traps, redirecting them and protecting the heart of the palace. Hours passed. The intruders tried every approach, but nothing worked. Aaron and Liara remained vigilant, adjusting strategies, combining human logic and Luminara energy control. Finally, the intruders retreated, signaling defeat. The palace was safe, and the device had proven its full potential. Liara exhaled, her shoulders relaxing for the first time that day. "We have won," she said softly. Aaron smiled. "Yes. But there is still more work to do. We must ensure this knowledge benefits both humans and Luminaras, not just us." Liara's eyes sparkled with determination. "Exactly. That is why I must show you the ancient records I mentioned." They moved to a secure chamber where glowing tablets contained Luminara history. Liara activated one, and images of humans and Luminaras exploring together appeared. "Long ago," she explained, "our species worked side by side to understand the stars. We shared knowledge, inventions, and discoveries. But fear and separation caused much of this history to be forgotten." Aaron studied the images, fascinated. "So humans and Luminaras were allies once. We just forgot." Liara nodded. "Yes, but now we have the chance to restore that connection. The device we created can help us unlock knowledge from these ancient records, knowledge that can benefit both civilizations today." Aaron placed a hand on the glowing tablet. Then we must use it wisely, not just for power, but for progress. Liara smiled. That is why I trust you, Lieutenant. You see the possibilities, not just the risks. Together, they activated the device, which began to analyze and decode the ancient records. Patterns of energy, communication systems, and advanced technologies long forgotten began to emerge. Liara's eyes widened as the device translated centuries-old knowledge into actionable ideas. This is extraordinary, she whispered. We can rebuild lost technologies, improve energy systems, and create solutions for both our worlds. Aaron nodded. And we can prevent mistakes of the past. Humans and Luminaras can finally unite in exploration and innovation. The realization filled the chamber with a sense of hope. For the first time, both human and Luminara could see a future shaped by collaboration, not fear. Liara's expression turned serious. But we must act carefully. Some in the Empire will resist change, just as the rival faction did. We need to present this knowledge thoughtfully, demonstrating its benefits. Aaron agreed. We show them progress through action, not force. We inspire trust and cooperation. Over the next hours, they prepared a presentation using the device. It projected interactive holograms of past human Luminara projects, showing how collaboration had led to success. Then it displayed simulations of how renewed cooperation could solve energy shortages, expand exploration, and improve daily life on both planets. Liara adjusted the projections. This will show our people and any observers that cooperation is not a threat. It is a future filled with possibilities. When the demonstration was ready, Liara called a select group of advisors, diplomats, and scholars to witness it. Aaron stood beside her, guiding explanations and answering questions about human methods, creativity, and logic. As the holograms unfolded, the room filled with awe. The advisors watched humans and Luminaras working together, solving complex problems, and exploring the stars. Skepticism slowly gave way to curiosity, then admiration. One elder Luminara spoke carefully. If what we see is true, this partnership could indeed advance our civilization. Liara smiled. It is true. Humans bring creativity, adaptability, and courage. Together we can achieve what neither could alone. Aaron added. And we must remember, this is only the beginning. The device and the knowledge it unlocks are tools. The real strength comes from working together and trusting each other. By the end of the presentation, the room was filled with agreement and support. The initial fears of collaboration were replaced with excitement for a shared future. Liara and Aaron exchanged a quiet smile, knowing their partnership had changed minds and hearts. That night, standing on the palace terrace, they gazed at the twin moons of Lumina 9. The device glowed softly behind them, a symbol of their efforts and the power of curiosity, intelligence, and trust. You know, Aaron said, all of this began because I accidentally walked into your chamber. Liara laughed softly. Yes, who knew that a small surprise could lead to something so great? Aaron smiled. It shows that even the smallest actions can have enormous consequences, and that curiosity, our willingness to explore, can change the universe. Liara looked at him, her expression serious but warm. Yes, and courage, Lieutenant. Curiosity without courage accomplishes little. Aaron nodded. Then together, we have both. Curiosity, courage, and cooperation. Liara extended her hand. To a future where humans and Luminaras thrive together. Aaron took her hand. To a future filled with discovery, trust, and friendship. The stars of Lumina 9 shimmered above, brighter than ever. In the palace below, the device pulsed gently, a reminder of what had been achieved through teamwork, intelligence, and bravery. In the days that followed, humans and Luminaras began to collaborate openly. Explorers, engineers, and scholars worked together, building new technology, sharing ideas, and expanding their knowledge. The device remained a symbol of their unity. a testament to what could be achieved when species put aside fear and embraced curiosity. Aaron and Liara continued to lead the efforts, guiding others with patience and vision. They knew challenges would arise, but they also knew that together they could overcome any obstacle. And in quiet moments, Aaron would remember the first day he had walked into her chamber, the surprise in her eyes, and the spark of curiosity that had started everything. It was a simple moment, yet it had grown into something extraordinary, a partnership that would shape the future of two civilizations for generations to come. As the suns of Lumina 9 set, casting long, colorful reflections across the palace, Aaron and Liara stood together looking at the horizon. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. But with courage, intelligence, and collaboration, they knew that humans and Luminaras could face the future boldly, inspiring hope across the stars. The story of a single accidental encounter had become a tale of innovation, friendship, and the triumph of curiosity and courage. And so the universe had witnessed the beginning of a new era, one where humans and Luminaras would walk together, discovering, learning, and thriving among the stars.